Do you love TikTok? Shop on Temu? Do you own a Huawei or Xiaomi phone? Well, Chinese companies like these have been accused of spying on their customers. Nevertheless, their products continue to be popular worldwide. And many governments deploy Chinese tech too. Is tech made in China no different than tech developed in other countries? Or are there special risks for you as a consumer and for state security? China's efforts to become established as a big-scale tech supplier can be clearly seen in Africa. In some countries like Kenya, Chinese technology even lies underground. An internet superhighway called the Peace Cable connects Pakistan, East Africa and Europe. It is part of the digital Silk Road, China's plan to expand its digital influence around the world. For years, China has been making deals with political leaders, especially in the global south, to build smart cities and install surveillance cameras. Sometimes China even foots the bill. So how does this tech benefit citizens? The undersea Peace Cable brings faster mobile internet to Kenya, for example, where most people use cell phones to get online anyway. But where do these cell phones come from?
I'm using an Infinix.
Oppo Reno 2F.
Samsung A13.
I use Samsung.
Oppo.
I'm using a Tecno Pop 3.
More than 60% of the people we spoke to in Nairobi, Kenya use phones made by Chinese companies. Anthony Owalo uses two phones, one for mobile money transfers and one for internet.
This one is Samsung Galaxy A10s and this one is Itel.
According to Motolani Peltola, who researches Chinese businesses in Africa, this is exactly the market Chinese phone makers have tried to capture.
An average African probably owns two cell phones. And those two cell phones, one is connected to, say, for example, MTN, a network provider. One is connected to, say, Zain, another network provider. And because of, let's say, connectivity issues, on a particular day, the network might be down on a Zain phone, but then it will work on an MTN phone. So in that sense, it just fits the price point that a lot of Africans are looking for, and it fits the needs of African consumers, maybe more so than your more expensive products like the iPhone, for example.
Phones with two SIM cards or cameras that capture a wide range of skin tones have made Chinese smartphones popular in Kenya. Anthony Kahinga, who manages a phone repair center, has seen the market change over time.
Nokia was the first to come in the country, and then immediately people moved to Chinese phones, which came with a touch screen, came with better cameras, bigger screen size, and most young people especially are preferring to go to the Chinese brand because of price value.
These phones used to be cheap alternatives, but now manufacturers are matching the quality of their competitors. But there are still significant ways that they can't compare.
Based on my experience, you use it for about 3 years, and then you start facing issues with updates of software and issues of battery changes, and the parts are not available. But since it's very affordable, most people prefer to go with the sake of 3 years. Buy a phone, 3 years you dump it, and you get another one.
Okay, that's not a very long lifespan. Still, Chinese smartphones are popular in Kenya because they're affordable and tailored to the needs of African consumers. So what is China's aim? We spoke to Cobus van Staden, who researches Chinese investments in Africa for the South African Institute of International Affairs.
They're looking for overseas markets and opportunities, but they're also looking for to act as a kind of a norm setter and a larger kind of player in the world. So it's looking to make the rest of the world friendlier to Chinese companies, friendlier to Chinese standards.
So China's engagement around the world fuels the tech economy back home. The more Chinese technology sold overseas, the more their systems and processes become the norm, which in turn helps them sell even more products. It also means China plays a powerful role in shaping the future of technology. The International Institute for Strategic Studies says China has been participating in digital infrastructure projects in 137 countries. It's investing billions of euros. Let's take a closer look at one example, a smart city in the making.
Just outside of Nairobi, Kenya is Africa's first planned smart city. It's called the Konza Technopolis, and it's been 10 years in the making. When Konza is done, it's supposed to look like this. A high-tech oasis outside of the urban hustle. While companies from countries like Italy and South Korea build apartments and schools, Chinese companies take care of tech. Like this surveillance center, built by Chinese telecoms company Huawei. It's connected to a network of cameras. The data from the camera travels through underground internet cables to a data center, also built in part by Huawei. The internet, the cameras, and data storage are all connected, says Lucas Omolo, who manages Konza's data center.
We realized that in addition to connectivity that would be required, we needed a place where with a high compute environment, where all this data that we'll collect from sensors, from cameras, from the smart city will be housed and will be analyzed.
Some have raised security concerns about working with Huawei, but Omolo believes the team is prepared.
If you focus on the vendor, then you'll miss the point. So we've got continuous training. One, we've got a wide array of engineers, network and security specialists. While the primary infrastructure is Huawei, we are working with Radware to secure. So Radware is an Israeli company. They secure for us the cloud. We partner with Microsoft, for example, build some of the solutions that Microsoft is a US company. So we don't limit this to Huawei.
Kenya's Konza isn't the only place storing sensitive information in Huawei data centers. Senegal agreed to migrate its government data from foreign servers to its own Huawei-built data center in 2021. And Pakistan signed off on an agreement to get one as well in 2019. Researcher Motolani Peltola says there's a reason countries take on these projects.
Chinese finance in itself played a major role in the dominance of Chinese companies in tech in Africa. So telecoms equipment manufacturers like Huawei, like ZTE, through a mix of competitive pricing, cost-effective equipment and products and solutions. So it's played a really huge impact.
For some countries, China's offer is attractive. Better digital infrastructure, cheap loans, and technicians who help implement the systems. But it's not always clear if the tech benefits citizens or the people in power.
At busy highways and intersections across Kampala, there are Chinese surveillance cameras. The government purchased them for more than 100 million euros. The cameras are equipped with software that recognizes faces and scans license plates. Ugandan officials and local journalists have said that some of them are neither monitoring nor recording crimes. Members of parliament even called for a review of the cameras after they failed to capture footage of a police officer's killing. It's a claim that Yusuf Sewanyana from Uganda's police force denies.
The allegation of CCTV not working, it's not true. The system is working, and it's really a supportive tool to fighting crime.
The surveillance cameras have been in use since 2018.
The footages, the evidence which is derived from the CCTV system is undisputable, and it has reduced drastically on the case backlog. We have seen a reduction in the behavior, the people, the way they behave on the roads. We have seen a reduction in burglaries and so forth in the urban setting simply because of surveillance. People are now more responsive.
The cameras are part of Huawei's Safe City program, designed by the Chinese telecoms company to deploy surveillance technology worldwide. Safe City technology reportedly helped police to monitor the cell phones of Ugandan opposition candidate Bobi Wine. In 2021, Wine lost against Yoweri Museveni, Uganda's president for 35 years. This is why lawyer and digital privacy advocate Sempala Alan Kagozi says it doesn't matter if the cameras work. Their true purpose is to deter political opposition.
They have reduced civil participation It is easy now to curtail demonstrations. It is easy to know and track politicians.
Chinese companies may be supplying the technology, but Uganda's government is deploying it.
They are preoccupied to stay in power, so they will do anything possible.
Huawei's Safe City project is global, with 52 countries participating. According to Washington, D.C.-based think tank CSIS, 71% of these agreements are in countries considered partly free or not free.
Let's be clear. Tech used for digital repression is not only exported by China, but by Western democracies too. So what's the difference? Reports like this might be the answer. Allegedly, computers in the African Union headquarters in Ethiopia, a building funded by China, were secretly sending data to servers in Shanghai every night. Why this data was allegedly transferred remains unclear, but it's supposed to have been going on for 5 years. China denies any wrongdoing, but experts say this is an example of why there are concerns about working with Chinese tech giants. So what about us, the private users? Does it make a difference whether it's Temu, TikTok or Google that takes our data? One difference is that Chinese companies are not in a position to refuse handing over data to the Chinese government.
There's a lot of allegations that there are what's called kind of digital backdoors kind of built into networks that would in some ways enable surveillance or spying or so. But it's not nearly the Global South's largest concern. Like, I think a lot of Global South countries are a lot more worried about just getting digital access in the first place and paying for it.
China's technology has a global impact. Many nations are willing to cooperate in order to speed up digitalization. For example, in Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America, Eastern Europe and the Middle East. But do these tech imports mean greater Chinese influence? Whether as state leaders or private users, we should all consider how much we use is made in China. Are you worried about data security, or do you think the benefits of Chinese technology outweigh the risks? Let us know. Bye, and see you next time.